group was comprised of me, Josh Jones, Jory Harris, Adam Greer, Liz Johnson, and Colton Watkins, and we kind of called ourselves Five Locos, just for dramatic effect. Our presentation is over the effects of energy drinks in combination with alcohol on performance and subjective awareness. This whole study was done by Chris Alford, Jennifer Morris, and Joris Bester, and published in March 2012. And it was published online by Psychopharmacology. The rationale of this study investigated the combination of an energy drink with alcohol to the study of the effects of subjective intoxication and objective performance. So caffeine and alcohol are the two oldest commonly used psychoactive compounds. So they're affecting your cognitive function and also your physical performance. Energy drinks mask the subjective effects of alcohol, and this may either lead to people to drink more or that they are unaware of how intoxicated they are. So that basically goes into, if you're drinking these energy drinks, you're stimulated by the amount of sugars and carbohydrates and caffeine that's in them, and that might lead you to think that you're less intoxicated than you actually are. So that leads you to drink more, especially with all the stimulant. You have all this extra energy that you want to go and do stuff.
Okay. All right. This is our methods. What they did is they had 10 female and 10 male participants, and they were divided up 5 male, 5 female, in 2 separate groups. The mean age of these individuals was 24 and a half years, and they ranged from 19 to 33 years old. Like he was saying, the present study investigated the effects of alcohol alone and in combination with energy drink and in placebo as well. And at the bottom, we just had a little quote: in contrast to caffeine, alcohol has long been found to have detrimental effects on both judgment and in performance. This is just the list and description of all the assessments that were done, not in this particular order, because I have that on a couple other slides down. But this is, it's got the BAC, the breath alcohol concentration, where the readings were taken by the experimenter, and they were not, the experimenter was not, or the person being tested was not able to see their blood alcohol level before and after, so they never knew if they actually contained, what they drank contained alcohol or not. The critical flicker fusion threshold is where they were viewing 4 red color light emitting diodes set 1 centimeter apart in a square formation on a black background, and they would flicker on and off at a varying rate of 1 hertz per second. The subjects they would press the response button whenever they would see the flicker. The choice reaction time is actually one that we did in lab, where you use a freestanding box that comprised with a touch-sensitive home pad, kind of redid the mouse in the computer. And we had they had 6 equally spaced response pads that were 150 millimeters apart, and that also had a red light emitting symbol. The subject would move his or her finger to the pad as quickly as possible if they saw the red light. The word memory, which was printed sheets containing a vertical list of 30 words. So subjects had a minute to view and memorize the list, followed by writing as many words down as they could remember from the original list that they just saw. The Stroop cognitive interference task was where the participants were required to say out loud the color of the ink and not the actual printed word, while reading each of the 4 columns totaling 100 printed colored words. So example, even though it's written in red, a subject would say red, ignoring the letters that was spelled green. So the treatments, this was just kind of what was used. It didn't ever specify the exact type of vodka that was used, but vodka was the alcohol of choice. And they would take the alcohol until they would half it up in between the drinks to where the person would actually have 0.1% of blood alcohol content after they drank 2 drinks, if they got both of the alcohol. Red Bull was the energy drink that was used, and there was 80 milligrams of caffeine in that. And the placebo was 250 milliliters of soda water. In each of those, they used a peppermint cordial and Robertson's apple and blackcurrant to kind of mask the flavor of the Red Bull. So basically, you just taste something that tasted terrible, but you couldn't tell what you were drinking. And all of the rims of the glasses, whether they had alcohol or not, were swabbed with alcohol. So even the ones that didn't contain alcohol still smelled and had a general taste of alcohol at the very beginning. And black and blue food coloring was added for further discretion. This was the actual testing order that was taking place. They did the breathalyzer, the wordless memory, then the Stroop test, and the critical flicker fusion threshold, the choice reaction time, and the delayed memory recall. Once everything was done, they were escorted home because some would have been drinking and some wouldn't have been drinking. And this was the procedure. Everyone was told to abstain from drinking or any kind of caffeine or alcohol before testing, and eat a light lunch an hour before testing. The treatments were administered double-blind with the assistance of another experimenter who prepared the drinks, and the subjects were assessed 3 times. And I don't have this on here, but they were actually assessed 3 times over a 2-week, or 3 times, 2 different times. They had the first week they would go in and do it, and then they went in and did it a second week. So they had different results. But they were done at the baseline, and they were done 45 minutes after starting the first drink, and then an hour after that.
So they used a personal drinking habits questionnaire to get some demographics of the group before going into this. The mean weekly alcohol drinking frequency was 1.8 with a standard deviation of 0.94. The average number of standard drinks per occasion of drinking was 4.3. So if you do the math, the frequency times the drinks per occasion, each person is around 7 to 8 drinks a week. The mean duration of drinking was usually 2.7 hours. The daily caffeine used was 2.5 milligrams per kilogram body weight, which was equivalent to 188 milligrams of caffeine. And they say that for a 165-pound person, this is the equivalent of a little more than 2 Red Bulls. The blood alcohol content was, they decided based on an analysis of variance that there was no significant main effect involving either sex, energy drink dose, or any significant interactions of the two. So blood alcohol content was not affected by sex or by the co-administration of the energy drink. Psychological refractory period was a test they used for the reaction times, and it was the results said the interference scores for the mean reaction times were calculated for each dose condition. Analysis of the variance of the psychological refractory period revealed that a significant main effect of alcohol, so this slide, the first figure there, shows that the alcohol dose alone and the alcohol with the energy drink both are going to have slower response times. So anything with alcohol, not just along with the energy drink. Another test was the simple auditory discrimination, and there was no difference between alcohol, energy drink, alone or in combination with this auditory discrimination. Pegboard task performance. The mean number of pegs placed was reduced for the alcohol conditions compared to when alcohol was not administered across all trials. So they used this pegboard test with the left hand, the right hand, and both hands, and then they did an assembly with both hands. And for each trial, when they had alcohol, they were decreased. So they also did, along with the objective ratings, they did subjective ratings, and the willingness to pay for what they considered to, what they wanted to pay more for. They would rather pay more for an alcoholic beverage versus a non-alcoholic beverage. They would rather pay more for an energy drink versus a beverage that does not contain any energy drink substance. The participants rated they feel significantly higher or better following 3 active conditions compared to the placebo, so they felt better with energy drink alone, the combination of alcohol and energy drink, and just alcohol. The mental fatigue ratings were the highest in the alcohol condition compared to the other doses. Moreover, the fatigue ratings were significantly higher in the alcohol condition compared to the alcohol with energy drink condition. So both were higher alcohol and alcohol within this drink. The stimulation ratings were the highest for the alcohol with the energy drink was conditioned compared to the other conditions. Awesome. So finally, participants rated greater selection, greater impairment, greater subjective intoxication, and reduced ability to drive under alcohol conditions compared to conditions where alcohol was not efficient. Okay, these charts show the 4 different tests that they use. There's SIBO, which is the last 2. So there's injury plus alcohol, and that was rated pretty standard. Just the lower the score, the faster the performance. So the one that's SIBO, energy drink and alcohol, they didn't have either one, actually had the best reaction times. And then the one that was energy drink SIBO with alcohol had the slowest. So actually, the combination of energy drink with alcohol was better than the energy drink SIBO with alcohol on reaction time. Memory test. So the higher score is better in this one. So the alcohol and energy drink, of course, scores the lowest, and the SIBO both score the highest. Clear-headedness. The higher score is better. So, of course, there is the energy drink in combination with alcohol at the bottom again. Clumsy, higher score is more clumsy. So, energy drink, alcohol. But each drink, going from baseline to drink 1, drink 2, it's getting more clumsy. SIBOs are at the bottom.
Alright, so discussion. Present study found that alcohol at doses of 0.046 to 0.087% for the blood alcohol level impaired psychomotor and cognitive performance. The combination of energy drink with alcohol failed to show consistent differences from alcohol alone on several performance measures, although the Stroop performance was improved with the combination of both. And it said that it could reflect an anomaly of the Stroop test, saying that since you were saying the color of the word and not the actual word itself, they said that the alcohol might impair your ability to read the actual word, so the color would stick out better, giving you a better performance on that test, is basically what that last paragraph is saying. So that was really the only significant difference they found with the alcohol and energy drink combination there.
So I had the rationale for the choice of this article. We really chose this article because the class has shown focus on development and evaluation of motor skills and the factors that can change these results. The claims from this article is that caffeine and alcohol are 2 of the oldest commonly consumed psychoactive compounds, and that caffeine and alcohol has been increasingly mixed in the past years. Caffeine consumption has been going rampant across the country. I mean, people just downing energy drinks just to stay awake to increase productivity. So mixing alcohol with it to enjoy it a little bit more has been seen more increased popularity. Also in claims in this article, drinks combo could lead to engaging risky behaviors, whilst others have claimed that effects could have been increased accidental risk. So they posed, Alfred et al. Posed that they would do their studying to help clarify the varied results that come across. Also, they examined the effects of the objective conformance, as Jordy talked about, and the subjective ratings of perceived impairment also. So this study was also chosen because of relevance to motor skills. We do daily, and the excessive use of caffeinated alcohol drinks among college students. I mean, our title is 5 Locos. I mean, 4 Locos is commonly in every store, beer store around here, and people consume them rapidly. So we really wanted to give focus on the college-age student because that's usually who they target with their bright colors and everything. Also, results of the test were the test results were conclusive of the effect of alcohol and caffeine did affect your clumsiness and clear-headedness. The graph Jordy showed on clear-headedness and clumsiness showed that alcohol and the energy drink really increased your clumsiness and decreased your clear-headedness. So it really made it for a better impairment of yourself, which I don't know if that's desired or not. We chose this topic because it seemed relevant to the concepts covered in class, including motor control, responsiveness, and reaction time. You can move last slide. And here's our citations for the articles. Any questions? Questions?
Do you think there would have been a bigger difference if instead of taking a mean, they would have compared them, like separated them to to like two different groups where people that consume a lot of alcohol or consume a lot of energy drinks would have made a big difference?
Well, I meant to put something on one of my slides. They actually had everybody that they did, everyone had to fill out a questionnaire.
Right.
And no one drank a lot, no one ever consumed caffeine. Everyone was pretty well equal at their, so there wasn't gonna be any kind of a variable of one person drinks 4 glasses of coffee a day, so caffeine doesn't affect them this way. Or one person drinks a handle of Jack every night, so granted, a little bit of vodka is not gonna affect them. So none of them, they basically had every single person who, they were pretty much the same, they all didn't drink or they all, it's just the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that does. Same deviation.
Any other questions?
Was there any further administration of the treatments or control in between the tests? Because my question stems from, what is alcohol dehydrogenase activity going to do to ethanol over time?
Well, I'm sure they
Break
didn't
it down.
conduct the test enough for that enzyme to kind of take its part.
Did they randomize their administration of the tests? Or did they just go,
Yeah, it was double blind.
did they randomize the order?
Oh.
No, they kept the order the same.
No, the order was
The order was same. They did it 2 days. They did 2 weeks apart. So they did 1 day and they did that same order. And then the next 2 weeks later, right?
Just 1 week later.
1 week later, they did the same order.
Did y'all see any issues with that? You sure?
I think that you could develop a pattern for the studies. I mean, I think you could develop okay, this is what's gonna happen next. This is what's gonna happen next. You know, I think that could be a problem with this.
So what I'm saying is that if you randomize the order, then you negate the physiological effects that are going to be seen based on the initial drink of alcohol, and over time the alcohol is going to decrease and you're going to return to your baseline blood alcohol level. That's what I'm
At
saying.
each point in the test, they were specific on what test they do. 60 minutes in, they were doing this test. 7 minutes in, they were doing this test at both times. So the blood alcohol content was roughly the same.
Okay. Cool. Good job.
Any other
It's
questions?
interesting.
Any other questions? Cool. Thank y'all. No free samples. Doug said no to free samples, so.